Thanks, Nas. Good afternoon, everyone. I've done research on resilience and well-being for about 12 years now. Okay, so I thought it would be just fitting if I start with an expression of gratitude to all the people who helped me and supported me through all these 12 years. Okay, so can you help me give them a round of applause? Okay, so gratitude is a key element in the research that I have been doing in relation to well-being. Special mention to Shifan. Forgot to add her picture, but she has been doing a lot of DOA approving. Okay, yeah. Thank you very much. So thank you very much to all the research staff, collaborators, co-PI. Some of them are from schools as well. They are very close collaborators. So, but just a caveat that they didn't see my presentation today. Okay, but what I would be sharing would be highlights of 6 projects. So I don't know how it would fit in about 40 to 45 minutes, but these are highlights of 6 projects, mostly involving adolescents, and a few, I think about 2 involve teachers as well, okay? So this is already the start, the real start of my presentation. Okay, this picture actually depicts the essence of resilience, okay? This tree is special because strong wind blows after storm, strong winds, it remains standing. What it does is it bends in the direction of the wind. When the wind is gone, it will go back to its original position. I call this tree the tree of resilience. And maybe you're wondering why this tree is such a special tree. Because this tree has strong roots. And maybe the next question is, why does this tree have strong roots? It is planted on fertile ground. Okay, so my sharing for today will be all about the strong roots and the fertile ground. By the way, I borrowed the term strong roots from Karate Kid, the original. Okay, Miyagi, okay. So, as I said, that tree, that picture depicts or captures the essence or the spirit of resilience. Although resilience is very difficult to define, many researchers do not agree on how resilience should be defined. But this is the best I could get from all the books and reviews, articles that I have read. Resilience could be considered as the ability to bounce back, just like that tree of resilience, okay? Or it is also the process, it's ability or a process of positive adaptation within the context of significant adversities and risk factors, okay? So here are the key words: positive adaptation, risk factors, okay? There's still one more missing, but an important aspect of resilience is the presence of adversity. Without adversity, you're doing well, you're expected to do well. You're just doing well. But when in the presence of adversity, you do well, that is resilience. Okay. Resilience could could be of different types. So the ones I really studied are academic resilience and social resilience. Just now, Prof. Nagendra mentioned something about cognitive resilience. And then I think Prof. Davidson mentioned or described something equivalent to emotional resilience. Okay, so I have mentioned the term risk factor, positive adaptation. There's a new term here called protective factors. And that will be the focus of my presentation, basically, the protective factors. Protective factors buffer the effect of risk factors such as speech delay, for example, in terms of academic resilience, poor attention, low SES, poor achievement, poor initial achievement. Protective factors could reduce the effect, buffer the effect of risk factors. In the words of Professor Nagendran, I think he mentioned something about cognitive reserve. Is that correct? Okay. So protective factors could be the cognitive reserve that he mentioned. Okay. So my presentation today will be divided into different themes. Okay. Two big themes would be looking at the internal factors, resilience from within, and the other theme would be resilience through external factors, the fertile ground. Okay. And the internal factors, I also divided them into two. The first focuses on mindsets. The other one focuses on purpose. Okay, so let's see. Okay, resilience through internal factors. What lies within every student? Their attributes, their characteristics, actually help them to develop resilience. Sometimes we call them resilient because of these internal factors. What are these internal factors? Okay, so again, after going through the huge literature, looking at resilience, these are some of those internal factors. These are the most common internal factors that help or support students, individuals to develop resilience. I will be focusing on the first three, but most of these attributes also emerge in our study of resilience, focusing primarily on adolescents. Okay, let's talk about the first set, mindsets. Okay, I like this quote. Men are disturbed by things, not by things, but by the view that they take on them. The lenses that we wear every day we are wearing our own lenses, our mindsets, our frameworks. And these shape the way we make sense of our experiences, our decisions, our actions. Mindsets are powerful. And mindsets are important in the development of resilience. Okay, first, we look at the profile of students in our sample who develop resilience. Oh, I forgot to mention, in our study of resilience, we operationally defined resilience in two ways. One is subjective resilience. We ask the students, oh, how do you think, we give them items such as, okay, I bounce back easily after failing, or I easily recover when I feel stressed. These are the subjective ways of assessing resilience. The objective way is we look at the outcomes. So for academic resilience, what we did is we look at students who are initially low achieving or failing at Sec 1. We follow them up to Sec 3, and we try to check who are the ones who turn around. They are the ones whom we define or considered as resilient or academically resilient. Okay? So in this study, we studied stress. Okay, and this is what we found. Okay, high resilience students adopt a positive mindset about stress. If this is the first time you heard about mindsets about stress, basically, stress can be perceived as negative. It could have debilitating effects. Many of us believe that stress is bad, that stress makes us, that stress depletes our energy. It makes us feel demotivated or makes us perform less, okay? The other perspective, which is also backed by the literature, is that resilience can have enhancing effects. Sounds new? Have you ever felt energized when you're under stress? It's like you're able to focus well. Like you could hear even the slightest sound. Actually, it happens to me when I'm under stress. And then my husband makes noise in the other room. I could really hear when I'm under stress. Because when we are under stress, our senses are heightened. it's like we are in danger, so we have to, our senses are sharper. Okay, anyway, I only have 45 minutes or 40 minutes. Okay, so we noted that high resilience students tend to adopt a positive mindset about stress. Okay, this is coming from the interviews. In this presentation, we are prioritizing the voices of the students, so we have lots of quotes from the students we interviewed. So we interviewed students who develop high resilience, students who develop low resilience, okay. So high resilience students, as I mentioned, adopt a positive view about stress, and this is from their subjective, okay, this is based on our subjective assessment of resilience. So the high resilience group, I don't know if you could see, so the green one is the high resilience group. They are at the higher end when it comes to stress is enhancing mindset. And the other one, we see that the stress is debilitating mindset, the blue goes on top, okay? So, but what we could see here is that the predominant belief of our students tend to be that stress is debilitating. Okay, so when our belief tends to be predominantly stress is debilitating or stress is enhancing, what's the benefit? Okay, so sorry for the numbers. No need to look at the numbers. Basically, the essence of this is that positive mindsets about stress, SEM means stress is enhancing, SDM means stress is debilitating. Okay, what we could see here is that students who adopt SEM, positive view about stress, tend to use more engaged coping styles. They use problem solving, they use emotional regulation, okay, and they use less of the disengagement coping, like forgetting that there is a problem, forgetting about the stressor, just ignoring it, okay? That is the disengaged coping. We also found that the stress is debilitating mindset. When the dominant belief is stress is debilitating, the students tend to adopt a disengaged way of coping. They just ignore the stressors, okay? And we found that stress is debilitating mindset tend to positively predict depression and negatively predict general life satisfaction, which is our indicator of subjective well-being. Okay, so this is just additional. High resilience students tend to apply engaged coping strategies when we compare directly. And this is another mindset. So we finished stress mindset. Now we're moving towards another mindset, which is the student's mindset about failure. What we found in our study, based on the interviews with students, and I think we published this, we found that our students tend to adopt a positive mindset about failure, okay? They learn from their mistakes. They perceive failure as a challenge, and the failure makes them prepare for future failures, future challenges. We also examined the students' turning points. So we interviewed, I think, about 11 high resilience students. You know, we tried to identify or examine the different factors that contributed to their turnaround. Okay? So turning points could be positive or negative. Okay, so we studied more of the positive turning points. That particular point when the students' achievement trajectory went up. Okay, and here's one turning point. Failure served as a positive turning point for some students. They were like, relaxed until they failed. When they failed, they studied more, better. Okay, so that's the failure mindset. Let's look at growth mindset. So I'm moving beyond the studies that we have done. This is a secondary analysis of academic resilience for Singapore students using PISA results. So we did machine learning algorithms. We applied machine learning algorithms to 66 variables, different levels, personal, contextual, process-based. Okay, I'm not the one who did the machine learning one, so don't ask me about the process, okay? But I know that we use the random forest algorithm. So you, Baraj, will be very familiar with that, our machine learning expert. What we found is that out of the 66 variables that we use in the modeling, growth mindset, okay, fixed mindset, just fixed mindset because it's recoded, tend to be one of the top 6 predictors of academic resilience for our socially disadvantaged students. It's worth noting that many of our students actually are academically resilient based on PISA definition. Very good, right? Okay, so that's for growth mindset. So we now completed the different ways by which, or the different profiles of resilient students in relation to their mindsets. Now let's look at their goal setting, their orientation towards the future, their sense of purpose, which was highlighted earlier by Professor Davidson. According to him, students who have purpose, or people, individuals who have purpose, tend to live longer, tend to be happier. Okay, so let's look at our resilient students. Do they have purpose? Okay. So, but this is one of my most favorite quotations by Friedrich Nietzsche. Well, I don't like him personally, but I like this quote. I don't like the end justifies the means stuff. Okay. Those who have a why to live can bear with anyhow. That's actually one of my mantra. When I feel challenged, when I feel stressed, I just think of the bigger, the why. Okay? So let's take a look at our students. Do you already know the why? Do the resilient students have this why? Let's see. Okay. From the students we interviewed, we asked them, how do you see yourself 5 to 10 years from now? We found that the high resilient students tend to see far beyond in the future, whereas the low resilient students tend to see close. Their goals tend to be nearsighted. Okay? Right? You see that? Okay? One is imagining himself playing on stage as a rock star. Okay. Resilient students also tend to have more concrete plans to accomplish goals. This is based on interviews. Okay? So, I have to move forward, but what you could see here is that our students, the resilient students, are able to strategize in order to achieve the goals that they set. Resilient students also tend to have this kind of turning point. They look at the responsibility for their families as a turning point to study hard and do well. Okay. And this is what fascinated me more than the other findings, is that high resilience students have goals that are beyond self. Self-transcendent goals. They want to help people. That's why they're studying. They want to support their family. And I like the last one. Maybe our MOA people will be very happy. Well, somebody has some goals about Singapore. They want to represent Singapore in soccer. Okay. So, high resilience students tend to have a bigger purpose, whereas the low resilience students tend to be more self-focused when it comes to their goals. Okay. So what? So Prof. Davidson said, purpose is good, having purpose is good, but what does it have to do with resilience? So according to, this is another favorite guy of mine, this is Viktor Frankl, who was imprisoned in the Nazi concentration camp, and he survived. And one of the key aspects of his survival, according to him, is his sense of meaning and purpose. He said he wanted to publish his book. That's one of the reasons why he survived. Okay, so people with high sense of meaning tend to rise above suffering or distress. They are able to put their adversities in perspective. They are able to reframe the challenges that they face. And they are able to reduce rumination, repetitive negative thinking. Maybe you're wondering why? I guess it's because they see the big picture. People with a big sense of purpose tends to see the smaller adversities as temporary and could be instrumental towards their purpose. Or they see the bigger picture, they are not so bothered by these adversities that they are facing because they know there's something more than that. Okay. So what about our youth? Do they have that sense of meaning or purpose? Okay, so according to this study, 3 in 5 US teenagers lack meaning or purpose. What about Singapore? I was able to find this study that I was looking for. The study by Mary Ann Heng. I'm not sure if she's around, but I really love this study. Many of the youth in Singapore, well, many means about 18%. Okay, many of the youth in Singapore lack meaning or purpose in life. But what is good in this finding is that many of our students, close to half, they have a combination of others' focus and self-focused goals or purpose. And when this, okay, you may check this out, this publication, this is a very good publication. They said that the ones who have highest level of well-being in terms of life satisfaction are the students who have a combination of both others and self-focused purpose or goals. Okay, I don't talk about Israel anymore, just take a look at Singapore. Okay, so but take a look at that finding. So the next question is, after knowing these internal factors that contribute to the resilience development or that define the resilience of our students, okay, so what can we do with the students with low resilience, the students with low sense of purpose? Okay, here are some suggestions. Okay, so the first one I will not discuss, but I will discuss it at the end. So we have some activities, interventions that we have done. In relation to mindsets, we have Mind Your Mindset program. Our team also has developed the gratitude and self-discovery activities. This one, I was fascinated by it. I applied it in my class, the meaning photography intervention. Life crafting could be another option. Expressive writing could also be a simple activity that could help the students develop sense of meaning and purpose. Okay, skip that part. Okay, let's talk about the arts-based interventions that we have developed. One focuses on gratitude. In this intervention, we have 6 activities involving gratitude reflection and gratitude expression. For self-discovery, as you could see, we focus more on the link between the present and the past. We help our students understand or make sense of their experiences, or especially the impactful experiences. So, according to our results, so this is, by the way, a randomized trial. That time we were lucky, and because of the support of the school, we were able to split the classes into 2 randomly. Okay, so we found that those who did the self-discovery activities developed a higher level of resilience, and both the gratitude and the self-discovery group have lower perceived stress. Okay, so my interest is in resilience here, but the findings are mixed when it comes to well-being, like life satisfaction, positive and negative effects. So I don't have time to talk about that, but I could share with you later. But what I could see here is that self-discovery tend to be the one that has more potential when it comes to promoting resilience. We did not measure purpose, but I think there will be an increase in sense of purpose through this intervention. It's for us to do a follow-up, I think. Okay, we also have done the Mind Your Mindset program. This one I have done with a team in the Philippines. We have piloted it with teachers. So what we did is we had this stress mindset program. We integrated findings from neuroscience, from science of learning in the program. We presented the effects of stress based on empirical studies. Okay, acute stress and chronic stress. Okay, and then we also have the growth mindset program, which was based on a Carol Dweck's model. We showed them also findings. Okay, I was talking about this. So for cultivating a stress mindset, we cited this research in relation to how acute stress can actually help our brains develop new neurons or give birth to, generate neurons, if it's acute, short-term, and not too intensive, okay? But chronic stress can kill our neurons. That's also the finding, okay? So we also integrated the finding on neuroplasticity into the growth mindset program. So here is the result. Okay, so we didn't have a control group. What we did is a switching replication design. So first, one group did the stress mindset, the other one growth mindset, then exchange, they swap. Okay, so the results are seemingly in favor of a combination. So, sorry, I cannot see the other one. So in terms of stress mindset, both of them improve whether they do growth mindset or a stress mindset program. Okay, when it comes to depressive symptoms, we see that the green one is about when the growth mindset is first, followed by the stress mindset. So the stress mindset tends to seemingly have an effect when the growth mindset is first. Okay? Yeah, so I won't explain the last one, but we see here some positive effects of the combination of the programs in relation to subjective well-being in terms of life satisfaction. Okay. So this is the photography method, which I tried in one of my classes. These are the real pictures that they have uploaded. Okay? So the cake actually was uploaded by me. Okay, but I cannot tell the story now because of limited time. But what is, okay, what this, when I have done it, I think it's a very simple, I like simple activities that could be powerful. So we asked them to take photographs or download photographs that they find meaningful. Okay? Afterwards, in my class, they did a shortcut. So it's not after a week, but immediately after they downloaded, they explained orally why they find it meaningful. And it was very enlightening because it was a very touching discussion in the class of Arif, if I would could mention the name. So the students were open. I was initially hesitant because I thought, it's too personal, will the students open up? But yeah, they really shared about what makes them, what they find meaningful in their lives. What's the symbol? Okay. Now, so developing meaning in life can also be done through expressive writing. How much time do I have? Because I'm just 18 minutes. Okay. Because this is two parts, I'm just at the first part. Okay. Because we have the, you know, the strong roots, we're going to the fertile soil. How to have the fertile soil. Okay. So expressive writing, one point is you could do, English teachers could do this in their class. You could just ask the students, make sense of their experiences, and then ask them to use cognitive words, causal words. I understand, I realize. And then causal, okay, the reason why A happened is because, you know, these are cognitive words. And according to this study, it helps in meaning making and also help the student grow, develop, become better after experiencing trauma. But this is for those who experience trauma. So I'm not sure what would happen if you ask the kids, but it's good to try, okay? So the other one is life crafting. I would skip this one. Basically, this one is about goal setting. This is important for our students to be able to develop early, to have some kind of purpose and have some goals so that they won't experience regret. That's one of the studies of my co-PI, Dr. Melvin Chance, talking about the regret, okay, when it comes to choice of career. Sometimes our parents think that by suggesting or by, you know, telling the students what they should take in the future career, they will succeed. But according to this study, it's best for us to ask the students what, or our children, what they find important rather than what they like. Okay, so that's the essence of that, life crafting. Okay, so let's move on to the next part, second part of my presentation, the fertile soil. I will focus, there could be many ingredients. You know, it's like fertilizers. There could be many ingredients to have a fertile soil for our students to develop resilience. Okay, and one of these was also highlighted by Professor Davidson, also Professor Nagendran, relationships, social engagement. Okay, so the mother of all resilience studies, the very first resilience study, which took about 40 years, is this study. And the key finding is that if there is one stable, supportive person in the life of an at-risk student, at-risk individual, these are highly at-risk students, parents are in poverty, some are drug addicts, some are actually alcoholics, okay, so very, very adverse situation. About 30% develop resilience. They found relationships as one key factor. Okay, so we also have some findings from our DREAM study, which indicate that significant others, quality of relationship with significant others, tend to predict general resilience, resilience across different domains, and resilience in relation to the school setting. And the strongest influence is related to peers for adolescents in Singapore. And then the next one would be teachers for school resilience. Parents tend to be more influential when it comes to general resilience. Okay, so what if they have general resilience? Prof. Davidson mentioned something about social media use and sense of isolation. We found that developing resilience as a trait could somehow buffer the effect or influence of social media use on sense of isolation. But we see here that social media use predicts sense of isolation among students. Okay, so I just move quickly. So similar patterns, but reverse for depressive symptoms. Then we also found that high resilience students cope with stress with the support of significant others. Here we see the doing activities with parents, so touching, right? When we do activities with parents, our children can cope with stress better, okay? And then talking to them, explaining to them about situations can help them develop a sense of meaning, okay, in relation to the stressor. High resilience students also draw means to cope with stress. Who is this? Teachers, right? From teachers. This one is from supportive friends. And what we found also, when in relation to our study, examining turning points, this one, I forgot that we have this paper. I just realized during this presentation that while I was preparing that we have a paper actually about turning points. So what we found here is that, what's this? Positive messages from significant others can serve as a turning point towards resilience. I would like to highlight the first one because I was so touched by this student. Okay, this student did not attend class for half a semester. She was thinking she was already failing, but her friends and the teacher said, you come and we'll try to get you promoted. We'll help you to get promoted. So that second chance became the turning point. She studied very hard, she graduated. I think she did quite well later on. So the simple words of encouragement could mean a lot to the students who are at risk. Okay, so another turning point, change in connections. So sometimes relationships could be not good for people, for individuals. So we had to end that kind of connection. So when they end, that's a turning point. And sometimes change in the teachers, okay, could be a turning point for some students. Yeah, I actually, I will share with you the story of this quote later on, okay? I sort of removed the first part of this, okay. So the neuroscience findings indicate that the presence of friends buffer the effect of stress. So what they did in this experiment is that they stressed out, they asked the participants to present in front of many people, and then they measure the cortisol level, which is an indicator of stress. What they found is in the presence of a friend during the preparation, the stress level actually tend to not be so high, and also tends the recovery of a particular person or individual in the presence of friend during preparation, during a stressful time, tend to be faster. Okay? So, yeah, so there we have some objective findings suggesting the presence of friends could really help us go through stressful times. Okay, low resilience students, okay, this is the problem. Low resilience students cope with stress in isolation. The very people who really need it do it in isolation. And this is the bigger picture. So we studied the coping profiles of students. So active means they are doing problem solving, they are actually also connecting with people. Okay, and then we have the same thing, avoidant coping. They just ignore the problem. So we have three profiles here. The one with the lowest level of resilience are those who didn't cope at all, didn't use any coping strategy, just totally ignore the issue. Okay, pretend there's no problem. Okay? The other one is those who are, okay, what's the last one? Isolated coping. They tend to be low when it comes to connecting with people and high on avoidant coping. Okay? It's also not a good profile, right? So we have quite a significant number of that. So the ones that are develop high resilience, subjective, okay, are those in the other clusters. So even if they use avoidant coping, they still did well, okay, because I think it's the combination. If we have a repertoire of coping strategies, avoidant coping, engaged coping, collective coping, if we have that kind of repertoire, there is a higher likelihood for us to do better when dealing with challenges. Okay, another not so nice story, but it's also good because our relationships tend to be quite good. Relationships of students with the parents, students, peers, and then teachers. There's some room for improvement for the teachers, but what we see is there's a decline, significant decline in the relationship quality of the students as they move from Sec 1 to Sec 2. Okay? So this one I won't explain further, it's quite complicated. This is a paper under review, but what we found is that expectations of teachers and parents tend to be negatively predictive of the subjective well-being, life satisfaction of our students, and tend to be positively predictive of negative emotions. Okay, so we need to be careful about expressing our expectations. Okay, so another issue is that we found in our study that friendship instability means some friendships lost, some friendships gained. So higher instability is associated with higher sense of isolation. Okay, but the number of friends, unique friends from Sec 1 to Sec 2, or Year 1 and Year 2, tend to be associated with functioning well of the students across motivation, engagement, and psychological well-being. Okay, so in the DREAM study, we also try to look at the students' profiles. I think we have about 7,000. We group them into different profiles according to motivation, sense of belonging, PSLE results, well-being. Okay, so we have these different profiles, which I don't have time to elaborate, but let's just take a look at the at-risk and the flourishing group. Those who are doing well in terms of well-being, social relationships, and also achievement. So what we could see is they are the ones who have the lowest friendship instability and highest number, second to the highest number of friends. So friends matter when it comes to students' motivation, well-being, sense of belonging, and also performance. Okay? So what can we do? How do we support our students develop resilience through relationships? Maybe no-brainer for you, like, we just promote relationships. But there could be some ways that we could do, especially for the socially isolated students. Let's start off with this. We can draw social network maps of our students. So here, every circle means a student. Line means friendship connection. This one is actually only reciprocated friendships. So that's why so many people on the side. So they are the ones who do not have reciprocated friendship. There could be other reasons. Maybe they did not participate in the study. They were just nominated, so not reciprocated. But maps like this can help identify the students who are at the periphery or those who are vulnerable, socially at risk of social isolation. Okay, we can also identify potential partners for them. Those who are likely to be good buddies can be revealed by these social network maps. Okay, if you would like to learn more, I will share with you. Okay, so we have also developed this intervention which aim to support socially at-risk students. Those who are socially isolated, even emotionally isolated. This is the entire package which involves helping them to make friends, helping them to deepen the friendship, helping them to deal with conflict management, and also maintain friendship. Okay, this was co-conceptualized with Chin Leng, who is in the audience, and we are the ones who thought that together we thought about the name building and bridging flourishing friendship. So I attribute it to him as well. Okay, so the study is still ongoing. We don't have enough power to make conclusion, but these are some of the feedback of the students. Okay, what about improving teacher-student relationships? We have a study, so we studied the students who develop resilience. We also studied their teachers, did observations of the students, or of the teachers as they were teaching. We call them the turnaround teachers, those who taught classes with high percentage of students who develop resilience. And this is what we learned. We have learned a lot, but this is only just about the relationships. The high turnaround teachers tend to use more attunement language, like to be in tune or in synchrony with their students. So they use these words, like, are you okay? The simple words as those could be powerful for the students, right? And then, so these are some of the attunement language used by turnaround teachers. Okay. And also I'd like to highlight this. Both regular teachers and then high turnaround teachers, they're both very caring for their students, but we found one main difference. That is that high turnaround teachers tend to do follow through. Like, so you see the blue one, the low turnaround teachers, regular teachers, they also ask students how they are. But the high turnaround teachers are the ones who follow through. After asking, okay, the student, I'm not okay, what happened? They would talk further with the students. So that follow through, from our perspective, makes a difference. Okay, makes the turnaround teachers have distinctive practices. Okay, I'm close to the last 2 slides. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that communicating expectations would be very important for our students. Okay, because our students in Singapore tend to feel so stressed when it comes to the academics. But when we interview them, you will be touched because many of them said they don't want to disappoint their parents, their teachers. They are studying because they don't want to disappoint their parents and their teachers. Okay? Since this is stressing them out, one possibility is to do these approaches, which I found in one paper done in Australia. Okay. One thing that's special for me is when I compared our findings with their findings that we haven't published yet, but hopefully we could publish soon. We have very similar findings when it comes to the practices of the teachers, okay, that communicate high expectations. The respondents here are the students. Why are you motivated when this teacher is encouraging you, asking you to do more? And these are the words of the students who said that they feel motivated, they feel engaged, they feel encouraged by these teachers who took care, like confidence approach relationship, who took care, who were careful when they are expressing high expectations. They were not complaining about the expectation. They were willing to do the high expectations, but they highlighted these approaches as something that make them become more motivated to carry out the requests or tasks given by their teachers. Okay, so now I'm about to end my presentation. Just a summary of key points. So basically, I have highlighted 3 resilience factors drawn from our research. First one is mindsets. Okay. Positive mindsets, adaptive mindsets tend to be associated with higher resilience, sense of purpose, self and others tend to be associated with higher resilience. Positive relationships, peer support also helps our students go through stressful times. Okay, and then I have mentioned some of the ways by which this could be enhanced or promoted. So before I end, I'd like to highlight some caveats when it comes to resilience. Number 1, resilience is not wholesale. Like, if you're resilient in one domain, academics, it doesn't mean you will be resilient emotionally. It doesn't mean you will be resilient socially. Others who do well in academics, they become socially isolated because they have to spend time studying. So it doesn't mean that if somebody is doing well in academics, they are okay. They may still need some help. Second point, resilience is malleable. That's the hope. People can always develop resilience no matter what their age is, even adults, okay? Resilience is a journey. Some people take time to develop resilience. In the Kauai study, some of them develop resilience only when they get married. Or when there are, okay, or when there are new opportunities. Adult education could be a turning point. You know, those who are doing very badly got into prison, but then, okay, because of opening opportunities, the second chance is given to them. Adult education, they could still develop or manifest resilience. Okay, so now I'm at the end. So, remember the fertile soil, the strong roots. We all have the responsibility. We all need to develop resilience in our own lives. You know, for us researchers, workers, we are all facing adversities. Okay? And many of us maybe have mastered dealing with these adversities. Teachers, you can be the role model of your students. Many of the students we interviewed cited their teachers as role models. Even parents also, many of them cited parents as role models for finding sense of meaning. Okay? How do we do the modeling? We can do that by communication. We have one student saying, oh, I learned about stress mindset because I talked to my father. In our lives, when we're dealing with our kids, my kids, one time I realized, wow, I have never seen my kids in a week. The only time we are together is during dinner time, and they're still using their handphones. So what I do is I talk to them. So they are forced to talk to me. And for me, that's the time for us to, how can they model if they don't talk to us? So we have to talk to our students, talk to our kids. That's all. Thank you.